keeping at the front of our mind that this work of a learning community boils down to ensuring 100% mastery of essential skills and competencies. It would just make sense to get those skills and competencies broken down so we can work to ensure mastery. To that end, a crucial step in the collaborative team process is to do what I call walking those targets out. Identifying them through a protocol is a big deal, should be celebrated. It's a big step in the process. The next step is to walk those targets out, to break them down so we can attack them in the service of ensuring learning. And if you look at this template, it starts with what is the essential standard to be learned. The next column asks teams to come to consensus on what mastery looks like. It's not enough that you agree on a specific standard being essential. It is critical that team members get absolutely clear on what mastery looks like. I encourage teams to do that individually first and then compare results. For example, if you have a math standard, I would hand out index cards to each team member, ask the question, what does mastery look like for this standard? Have teams write down what mastery looks like, compare results, and then talk about similarities or differences, with the goal being that you come to consensus on what mastery looks like. There can be no variance between teammates regarding what mastery looks like for any specific standard. The next column speaks to prerequisite skills. Since every student has to be taught at grade level, we know we're going to have a wide range of skills and competencies and skill levels regarding our students. And so we want to know up front, what are the prerequisite skills, vocabulary needed to master this standard so we can hit the ground running with them. The next column speaks to when it'll be taught. This is not an effort to get teachers to teach in lockstep for purposes of control. The only reason you want to agree on when it's taught is because you need to give each other feedback on what's working and what's not working. Because again, the goal is to ensure 100% mastery of these standards. The next column is, when are we going to give the common formative assessment? The common formative assessment again tells us two things: which kids got it, which kids didn't, and it tells us which instructional practices have been successful with these students at this time. And so you need to create the common assessment, you develop the common formative assessment, agree on the conditions under which the assessment will be given. And again, the common formative assessment is not a measure of good teacher, bad teacher. It literally tells us where our students are regarding 100% mastery from the grade level, and it tells us which instructional practices have been effective with these students at this time. And so when you analyze the assessment using the protocol, you want to take specific notes of what's happening in each classroom, because we're not robots. So you're going to have some teachers that are more effective in specific areas than others, and you want to leverage that talent as you flexibly regroup kids for both intervention and enrichment. The next column speaks to common summative assessments. Much the same. The difference is the common summative assessment is typically the one that comes at the end of the learning. And then the last column is the extension column. And that's where you're asking the question, what will happen when students have already learned the standard? You want to come in on the front end knowing what you're going to do for students who learn specific content sooner than other students. And this extension column is not limited to your students who may be identified as quote unquote gifted and talented. In my opinion, they're all gifted and talented. It's our job to mine for those gifts. We want to be ready for any and every student who has mastered a standard to either extend them, which is to go deeper with the learning that's occurring, or enrichment, an opportunity to excel in an area around which the student is passionate. Please take your time through this. Don't skip any steps. It may feel mechanical and rigid early on, but it will serve you well in the long run.